What am I to you? Am I like the cooler older brother? No, I'm too old. I'm 36. I'm too old to be your brother. What about your cool uncle? Nope. I'm definitely too young to be your uncle. I'm 36. So maybe I could have been that like kind of cool substitute teacher that came in and just kind of rushed through the assignment and the lesson and then just kind of casually sat at the desk talking with his students about whatever his favorite show, Breaking Bad or something like that. Like that's probably who I really am in your life as I serve as your mentor. So here's what we're gonna do in this video. I made a video called "My Hair Loss Theories Are Not True, You're Wasting Your Time If ... And it was a video talking about how so many of my viewers take one of my theories out and spotlight it and say, Nick, you're not right because this isn't true. And I'm always like, but what about the rest of them? You have to look at the full picture. So that's what that was about. And he had said in his comment, Lord Blahino said, "You're like the unofficial balding expert. Really enjoyed your videos." And then he went on to say later on, he said, "Thanks." He said, "My pleasure, Nick. Now, if you could just help me understand women, that would be great. Haha, just kidding." Well, you know what? I'm not just kidding, and I'm going to do my best off the top of my head to help you out with this. By the way, you're now wondering, about a minute and a half into this video, you're thinking, Nick, why are you wearing glasses? I saw all the other videos you did while wearing those clothes, and you weren't wearing glasses. I'll tell you why. Here's a little insight about me. This eye is nearly perfect. This eye is definitely not perfect. I have astigmatism, so when I'm not wearing my glasses, this eye works extra hard to keep up with this one because they don't move. Yeah, do you see that? That's astigmatism. This one is better focused on the camera, and this one kind of wobbles around a little bit more. It's not that I'm cross-eyed, it's just that this eye is much weaker than this one, and it's also misshapen, which is why I wear glasses. Well, here I've been shooting videos for like an hour and a half because I've got two channels. Family Friendly Daddy Vlog is the other one on YouTube. And I'm staring into this little screen that's about the size of my phone, but how far out it is, it makes that eye, it wears it out. So now I'm wearing glasses, so there you go. Most of the time I'm actually wearing glasses. All right, so we have our friend saying, Nick, if only you could help me understand women, that'd be great. Let me do this off the top of my head because I think it's better I do that than to rehearse it and do a whole list of things. And I want to go ahead and say, there's plenty of male YouTubers out there who are much better than this as far as explaining understanding women. There are many, but you decided to watch this video, so I'm going to do my best at this. So let's start with the obvious. I've been married for nearly a decade. This July 5th will be a whole decade, 10 years that my wife and I have been married. And we were dating more than a year before that, which is funny. We started dating, and then a month after that, she moved to Australia to be a nanny because she'd already agreed to do that. So most of the time we were dating, we weren't even on the same continent. I was in America in Tennessee, and she was in Brisbane, Australia. For most of the time we were dating. She comes back a couple months later, I proposed to her, and then a couple months later we got married. It's funny as we look back on that, most of the time we were dating, we weren't even on the same side of the planet. But I knew when I met her, there's no way I could live without her. As long as she would choose me, I'm good to go. This is the one I want. I've never met anybody like this. I'm a man who is deeply in love with my wife. And I definitely won the lottery, and out of my league and all that stuff. That's how I feel about my wife. By the way, she's never gonna see this video, which is showing you how much I mean it. I'm not saying this to flatter her and make her feel good. She's never gonna know I said this, but that's how I feel about my wife. Now, with that being said, how do we understand women? You know, in some ways I'm irrelevant because I haven't been in the dating scene for well over a decade. But in other ways, arguably more relevant ways, I understand women better because I've been married to one for nearly a decade, all right? And I'm happily married, I can say that. I would say though, that part of the reason I'm so happily married is because I don't let my wife control my emotions. Only I control my emotions. So whether I'm driving and someone flips me off, I'm not gonna, no, I don't care. They don't affect my emotions. So whether it could be a stranger, or it could even be my wife. Maybe she says something that seemed kind of rude. If I take it rude, then I'm gonna be emotionally affected for the rest of the day. So it's all about emotionally controlling yourself and knowing how emotions work. A lot of people are slaves to their emotions, and that's what holds them back. And I think people who are slaves to their emotions are also slaves to their self-esteem, and therefore even hair loss will hold them back maybe their whole entire life. Whether they keep their hair or not, they're still a slave to that fear that they're going to lose their hair. So ultimately, I think a lot of it has to do with controlling your own emotions and understanding them. As far as understanding women, because I've said before, when you see me act emotionally in these videos, I'm playing you. I'll say that again. When you see me acting emotionally in these videos, I am playing you. I know that you're going to react to my emotions a certain way, and that's the response I'm trying to get out of you. Most of the time, I don't have an emotional tone to me. I'm just kind of direct, and that's it. But when you see me acting emotional, think about that. Think about every video I've ever made where I was emotional. I was manipulating you. I was steering your direction a certain way to make you look at something. That's why I was doing that. And that's called emotional intelligence. You should Google that so much. You should study it. That is ultimately one of the best ways, the easiest ways to understand women. Because women are very emotional. You know, there's a stereotype that men, it's not that easy to hurt our feelings. And we're also quick to apologize. Women are not. Women do not apologize. Ever, never, ever, unless it's for something silly like that you didn't even care about to begin with. When it comes to something you actually care about, a woman is never, ever going to apologize to you. She also is less likely to give you that positive reinforcement that you need as well. Because she's looking for a man who's so confident in himself that he doesn't need to be told he's great. She's looking for a guy who, even if he's balding, he's so confident in himself that he's not worried about it. But if he is, then she's less attracted to him because he's so preoccupied about this other thing and he's not really that confident of a guy. So these are very important things. I've also mentioned before on this channel, women are looking for a guy that has a little bit of a bad boy edge. Not completely. If you go too far in left field with it, then that's not an attractive thing. That's not going to get you the mainstream audience. That may only get you a few select members of the female audience there. But it's a matter of, you want to be, this is what women want to see in you. They want to obviously see that you're confident in yourself. They want to see that in some way you're smart. In some way. Now I've been very vocal about the fact I'm awful at math. I'm awful at science. Always have been. So by the time I got to college, I thought, well, since I'm so bad at these things, why don't I do something that will actually work to my strengths, which I became an English major. And I feel like I've done all right. Being an adult in the workforce, having an English major, it helped me greatly as I figured my way through a 10-year career in HR. And now as a stay-at-home dad who is a blogger, familyfriendlydaddyblog.com, familyfriendlydaddyblog.com. I don't edit my videos, so I had to say it at the same time. So I knew what I was good at. See, we're all smart. We're just not all smart about the same things. I'm smart when it comes to communication, psychology, writing. I'm good at those things. Even acting, I'm good at those things. I'm smart at those things. You may not be, and that's fine. You don't have to be. Maybe you're the guy that's good at science or math or history or fixing cars or whatever it is. You're smart at something. And you want to make sure that you fully understand that and that comes across when you're meeting a girl. I'd even find a way to, in a subtle way, bring that up as far as so that she knows what you're good at. Because when you know what you're good at, that is setting a beacon of light out saying, hey, okay, so here, this guy's really good at this, and he knows it. It's not like you're being bragging about it. The fact that you even talk about it in a way that you know what you're talking about makes you smart at that. Girls want to be able to identify what you're smart at, what you're good at. And therefore, they're going to see that confidence in there because you, even if you're a young man, you already know a good idea of who you are. Women are looking for that. It's funny because when I met my wife, she she didn't see me as an attractive guy. I didn't stand out to her as an attractive guy. And she told me by the time we were married that the first time she saw me as an attractive guy was the day that I asked her out. Imagine the psychology in that. My looks got me nowhere, because we knew each other for a couple months before I officially asked her out, because I didn't want to jump the gun. I didn't want to gamble it all on one date and then she never speaks to me again. Like, that's a whole other story. But imagine the psychology that she saw me as attractive the moment that I asked her out. Of course, I had already impressed her with my ability to be a good communicator and be a confident person. So she was attracted to all that stuff, but she never even physically saw me. She didn't attach the physical part until I made the move to ask her out, which again shows the confidence and the thoughtfulness, because women really like thoughtful guys. Someone who's gonna find out, how is this girl special? How can I show her that I see that she's special? So those are some things that definitely matter. So really it comes down to you knowing who you are, being in control of your emotions, because she is looking for a provider. Now, it's not just like in the 1940s when women married men so that they could have, have a house and food, and the man was simply that financial supporter. It goes beyond that. A woman is also looking for an emotional provider. And something that you learn when you first get married is the woman's job is to tell you about her problems. And your job, even though you clearly know what would solve her problem, is to not fix her problem, is to not point out the obvious. Your job is to intently listen, look her in the eyes, show sympathy, and to do that every day. Because girls totally care about a guy who listens. I remember, this takes me back to, I think, the high school years, but I remember I overheard a conversation between my dad and my sister, and my sister was talking about, I think that this is the way I remember the story. The guy, he wasn't that good looking, but the girls liked him anyway. I think my sister was telling my dad about this, and something about, my dad was kind of like mocking, like in this country accent, like why girls like this guy that wasn't necessarily good looking. And it was something to this effect. He said, well, he's thoughtful, he's caring, he's kind, he listens to you. And I'll have to ask my parents about that story. But anyway, it's just a guy that's a good listener, a guy that's attention to details, that says, why is this girl special? A guy that's confident and knows enough about something that he can talk about it. And he puts that as part of his identity, but not in a bragging way. And a guy who's not offended by anyone because he's so in control of his emotions that when it comes time for a woman who's looking for an emotional provider, emotional support, she's going to get that. Because this guy, when he's driving the car and somebody cuts him off and flips him off, doesn't say, you idiot, you... No. He's calm. When someone is rude to him or tries to insult him, he's calm. She's going to be attracted to that. Now granted, she still wants to see a guy who is in touch with his emotions. If something is awful going on in the world, like there's bad stuff going, people are, across the world, worldwide, there's always people who are victims across the world from headlines in the news and all this stuff, A guy who has compassion and shows that for other people, yes. The fact that I cry every time I watch the movie Inside Out, that's good. That's healthy. I'm in touch with my emotions. That movie will always make me cry. Even though it's not really a sad movie. I always cry. Not ashamed of that. But my empathy, my emotions are about someone else, not myself. Which goes to the fact that you're confident, but you're not self-centered. So there you go. Here's a 15-minute video just off the top of my head, explaining some major pillars on what it takes to understand women and how they work. They're looking to you for emotional support. They care more about that than how you physically look. They want to see that you're emotionally supportive, that you're confident, you know who you are, you know what you're good at, you're smart in a certain way, and you're vocal about that, but not in a braggy way. Off the top of my head, 15 minutes, there you go.